men. And, of course, as I so often do, using the term loosely. Got a found in street wrench. Had a busted up plastic handle on it, knocked it off, put a piece of rubber on there. I think we're going to make a proper handle for it today. Total waste of time? Probably, yeah. Is it worth anything? Probably not. Do I have other crescent wrenches? Yeah. Do I need this one? No. But hey, why not? Oh yeah, that's going to be a fine wrench. Got this nasty old chunk of aluminum, complete with dead bugs. That's going to be the handle. Was thinking about making it out of wood, but you know, it's going to be a wrench. I'm going to throw it around, so we're going to make it out of aluminum. I've changed my mind. Not going to use that other piece. The other piece is too thick. I would have had to mill half of it away to get it to the thickness I wanted, so why not start with something that's a little closer? And I think this piece of old diamond plate, I'm going to leave the diamonds on the outside of the handle to give me a little something to grip onto. I don't like tools that are too slippery. This will give a little tactile feel to it. Alright, the plan, such as it is, I'm going to have to drill 2 holes through this forging here to attach the handle with. Let's see if I could drill it. Alright, looks like it'll drill pretty easy with the sharp bit, so that'll work. Moving on. Alright, I'm going to take this piece of diamond plate and cut it on a diagonal from one end to the other to give me 2 scales. The 2 scales are going to get milled down the middle about 800 thousandths of an inch, because the tool through here is about 800 thousandths of an inch wide, and they're going to be about 1/8 of an inch deep. So we're going to mill some slots in these things. Each one is going to be 0.125 inches deep, because at its widest point, this tapers a little bit to the end. This is 0.250, quarter inch. So we'll cut 2 1/8 inch deep slots in it, epoxy them and screw them to this part of this forging. I scribed the line where I'm going to split this piece of material. I scribed another line, and you notice it's a little bit of a taper. I don't know if you can see the scribed line on there or not, but I scribed another line right down the middle of the tapered part, and this is going to be the center of where the end mill is going to travel. Same thing over here, the center of where the end mill is going to travel. I center punched it here and here and here, and oops, I guess I didn't do here, but I'm going to here, and I'm going to use a point on the mill to find this center line when I set it up so that the mill will travel down the center of this line. I got the pointed edge finder in the mill. I used the punch marks to center the mill over this line. So we're going to change to the 3/4 inch mill and run it right down the center of this thing. Alright, I'm going to come down till I touch off. Then I'm going to dial in 127 thousandths. And then just make my pass up to this line over here. Okay, the slot is milled in one of the scales. You know, and you would think this would be a pretty simple milling operation. And if I knew what the fuck I was doing, maybe it would have been. But problems were encountered. I'll show you what the problem was and what the solution was in a few minutes. But I'm going to go ahead and mill the other scale slot right now. All right, I repositioned this piece of diamond plate for the second cut. I did the same thing. I had the pointy center finder in there and centered it on the 2 center punches I made. Zeroed the Y indicator out so that I could go +10 and -10 to make the slot wide enough for the wrench. So we'll touch off and we'll cut this groove. Yeah, this is working much better. This one went much better than the other one. Let's do a down and dirty depth check. Good to go on that. Let's pop this out of there. Two slots cut. I'll explain to you now what the problem was. Here's the short version of the problem. I set my cutter to a depth, 62 thousandths, and I started cutting at this end, for example. By the time the cutter got down here to this end, the depth of the slot was only maybe 20 thousandths of an inch. And, you know, I thought maybe my problem was the plate wasn't sitting flat, because it is diamond plate and it really doesn't have good, you know, contact with the mill bed underneath there. So I redid some clamps, and that didn't help. And then I thought, well, you know, maybe I got a clamp position in an area like this where there's no diamond pattern, and this unsupported area was flexing the whole thing, causing it to be uneven under the cutter. So I played with that and it didn't do anything. And then I thought, well, you know, maybe the whole spindle was moving up, you know, being forced up by the cutting forces. Well, I've got a vertical Z-axis indicator over here, and I could see that it wasn't moving. So that meant the only thing left that it could be was that the cutting tool, this cutting tool, was being forced up into the collet. Why would that be? Well, I looked at the end of this, and my conclusion was these are supposed to have a negative, and I'm not sure what a real machinist would call these angles, but the cutting angle needs to angle towards the center of the end mill rather than the other way. You know, this has a little bit of a point on it, and it should have a convex surface over here. So I didn't know that for sure, but that's the conclusion I came to just guessing. So anyway, I got rid of this cutter, and I used this cutter. Problem solved. This cutter is not center cutting. I don't know whether that one's center cutting or not. But anyway, I wasn't center cutting, so I didn't need one that was center cutting. And this made all the difference in the world. You know, I am an amateur machinist, very amateur. And there's hardly a day that goes by when I'm not out here futzing with something that I don't figure something out or some better way of doing it or learn a little bit more about how tools and things need to be set up. This was a very good lesson for me. I mean, you guys who know what you're doing, you're probably laughing. But, you know, for me, this is kind of a big thing. And explains some other problems I've had in the past with trying to mill a flat surface on something. You know, you really can't take anything for granted. You know, small little differences make a big difference in the end product. But anyway, problem solved, slots are cut. On to the next step. This is a jet bandsaw, and it's kind of a piece of crap. Rarely do I use it in the vertical configuration. I use it almost exclusively as a chop saw. And as a chop saw, it works pretty good. Hell, I've cut railroad rails with it. I mean, it takes a while, but it works. But anyway, we're going to use it in the vertical mode, and I'm going to separate these two scales. The gloves are because I expect this thing to get hot. Alright, so let's wrap this project up. I got engines to work on. I've test fit this thing a few times, and I was going to fill this all in with epoxy, but it really fits plenty tight without epoxy in there, so I'm not going to do that. Yeah, using a crescent wrench to fix a crescent wrench. You gotta love it. I've launched this spring across the room 3 or 4 times already. Let's see if I could get it in there without launching it across the room again. I think I'm going to run it out to the buffer. I got a little mismatch in the parting seam. I think I'm going to buff that flat. I'll be back. And there you have it. Let's call this project done. I'm happy with that. Yeah, I see a lot of restoration videos on the internet, and basically whoever the guy is that's doing it will soak whatever it is in a bucket of evaporust, take it out, polish it, clean it, you know, so you got ultra shiny pipe wrenches and shit. This is my version of that. I often wonder what guys do with such a tool when they're done with it. I'll show you what I'm going to do with this one. Off to its life as a wrench.